Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving headfirst into a gripping cyber thriller that literally blurred the lines between the digital and the physical world. We're talking about Cicada 3301. This is an internet mystery so complex, so unbelievably far-reaching, that it commanded the attention of the globe's absolute best codebreakers. So grab a seat and get ready, because we are about to unravel one of the most elaborate, mind-bending scavenger hunts the internet has ever seen.
Look, to really get this, I need to drop you right into the action on January 4th, 2012. Picture yourself just scrolling through 4chan's infamous B-board, and suddenly you stumble upon this chilling anonymous post. There's no context at all, no flashy marketing, just a black image, a stark white logo of a cicada, and this exact text. We are looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test. There is a message hidden in this image. It was signed only with a 4-digit pseudonym, 3301. Now, little did anyone know at the time, but this single creepy image was the gateway to absolute madness.
Okay, let's dive into this because what seemed like a simple image hit an absurd technical escalation. Armchair detectives jumped right on it, and the very first breadcrumb trail went a little something like this. Users found a string of readable text actually appended to the original image file. That text hid a cipher. Once they decrypted that, it led to another image. Then, by using an application called Outguess, they extracted hidden info that pointed to a subreddit. That subreddit yielded a book, the book produced a code, and that code finally gave them a phone number.
Now, you might be wondering, what actually happens when you call that number? Well, participants heard a pre-recorded message directing them to find, quote, 2 missing numbers. It turned out these missing numbers were actually the specific width and height dimensions of that very first original image. When sleuths multiplied the image's width by its height and then multiplied that whole thing by 3301, the product was a brand new web address. And that address led them straight to a website featuring a cicada and a ticking countdown.
And listen, this is where things get truly, truly wild. The exact second that digital countdown hit 0, the puzzle violently spilled out into the real, physical world. Instead of just giving them another cipher, the website updated with a list of global GPS coordinates. Suddenly, this whole hunt required boots on the ground at 14 distinct locations completely scattered across 5 different countries.
So participants literally had to leave the comfort of their computer chairs and venture outside. I mean, imagine walking past your local telephone pole or a bike shelter and realizing your own neighborhood is an active playing board for this massive global shadow game. Because at these specific coordinates, people found actual, physical paper posters bearing the cicada symbol and a QR code. And as you can imagine, this sudden jump to geography sparked massive conspiracy theories. People were absolutely convinced that only a highly funded international organization could pull off a physical footprint of this scale.
Now, scanning those QR codes led players down another dizzying rabbit hole of riddles, books, and websites. But just as people felt they were finally closing in on the finale, the puzzle introduced some sudden, ruthless gatekeeping. A final website completely locked out the latecomers, displaying just this one message: we want the best, not the followers. It brilliantly tapped into that deep human desire to belong to an exclusive, elite group. And after that brutal rejection, the creators went completely dark. Silence for nearly a month, leaving the entire internet in an absolute frenzy.
So with the trails suddenly dead, 2 massive questions just hung in the air. First, what was this elaborate puzzle actually for? And second, who in the world was behind it? Was the whole thing just a joke? Was it a recruitment tool? The lack of any immediate explanation really only fueled the internet's collective paranoia. Honestly, countless armchair detectives felt like they'd just been sent on the world's most intense wild goose chase.
But here's the thing. The creators were incredibly methodical, and they totally anticipated the internet's chaotic nature. Throughout the puzzle, they utilized something called a PGP signature. Think of it basically as a digital cryptographic seal used to verify the authenticity of a message or a sender. Cicada explicitly warned participants to immediately disregard any clue that lacked a valid PGP signature. This was a genius move because it effectively stopped trolls and imposters from completely derailing the hunt with false paths. See, the creators were playing a long game here. Exactly a year and a day after that first puzzle, in January 2013, Round 2 launched, complete with a matching PGP signature. This 2013 return brought in weird new elements, like mysterious audio recordings titled The Instar Emergence, and even a cryptic runic alphabet. Then, Round 3 drops in 2014 and shifts the game entirely. The silence finally broke again with a brief prompt in early 2016, which was followed up by a final warning against disinformation in April of 2017.
Now,
I really want to focus on that massive update back in 2014, because it introduced the single most notorious element of the entire Cicada mystery, the Liber Primus, meaning first book in Latin. This text was basically a cryptic manifesto authored by Cicada. And get this, it was written entirely in those mysterious runes they had teased the year prior. It was packed with philosophical ideas, deep web clues, and just layers upon layers of brutal heavy encryption.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer punishing complexity of this puzzle. The Liber Primus has 74 rune-filled pages in total. Despite over a decade of non-stop effort from some of the brightest minds on the internet, only 19 of those pages have been successfully translated. The remaining 55 pages, completely untranslated. They're obscured by encryption that has literally stalled the world's best codebreakers for years now.
So, looking at the sheer scale and the difficulty of all this, who actually pulled the strings? At this point, we kind of have to shift from breathless thriller mode to a grounded investigation. People poured thousands of hours into this, desperate for some kind of purpose and real answers. Back then, the grand theories basically fell into three buckets. Was Cicada a viral marketing campaign by some massive tech corporation? Was it a recruitment drive for elite intelligence spies? Or was it some sort of bizarre, high-tech digital cult?
Well, we can actually dismantle a few of those theories just using some simple logic. Look, while massive corporations like Microsoft or Google and intelligence agencies like the British GCHQ or the US Navy definitely run similar cryptographic alternate reality games for recruitment, Cicada had a total lack of commercialization. There was no product being sold and absolutely no government agency ever claimed credit. The reality points to something far more niche, unmonetized cypherpunk privacy advocates.
We actually got a chance to pull back the curtain a bit thanks to a 2015 Rolling Stone interview with some of the alleged winners. The leaked end-stage details revealed that these successful recruits weren't taken to some sleek corporate office or a shadow government bunker. Nope. Instead, they were taken to a dark web forum. They were introduced to a decentralized international collective with shared ideals centered entirely around security, privacy, and anti-censorship. Their big ultimate goal? To develop privacy-conscious software.
But there's a really fascinating hypocrisy baked right into the core of this group. A leaked email sent to the finalist explicitly asks the recruit, "Do you believe that information should be free?" Yet almost in the very same breath, Cicada aggressively demands absolute, unquestioning secrecy from its members, insisting they never share the information they've just been given. Kind of ironic, right?
So what actually happened to the brilliant minds who, quote-unquote, won the game? Well, the truth is surprisingly anticlimactic. Alleged winners like Nox Populi and Marcus Wanner testified that the chosen few honestly just lost interest. Once the thrilling, globe-trotting scavenger hunt was over, the reality of the actual prize kind of set in. They were basically just being asked to do unpaid open-source software development. Without the intense allure of the puzzle itself, the recruits got bored. By late 2012, almost all of them had simply left.
We also really have to deconstruct that whole myth of the massive physical network. The one that so many people pointed to as definitive proof of a shadow government? Well, global scale is actually super easily faked if you just have a bit of disposable income. Anyone could simply use online services to hire locals to hang up posters for them in different cities. Plus, get this, every single physical poster was found within an hour's drive of an international airport. That means a small, really dedicated group could have simply flown themselves around the world to plant those clues over a weekend.
So, while the true identity of Cicada 3301 might very well turn out to be a relatively mundane, loose-knit group of privacy-minded hobbyists, the legacy they left behind is anything but. Those untranslated pages of their manifesto remain a brilliantly active, totally unsolved mystery, just sitting right out there in the open on the internet. Which leaves us with one final provocative question to ponder today. Will the intricate codes of the Liber Primus ever be fully broken? And when they are, will the cicadas sing again? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep your eyes open and keep learning.